Well, one of the stated goals of Section 1904 is to be inclusive. We want everybody to join the section. So for those of you that have already subscribed, we do appreciate it. We'll give you the 411 on that coming up here momentarily. One of the things, though, that I said I didn't really want to do is be a hot take artist. I'm not a hot take guy. And I certainly don't plan on being a hot take artist now just because I'm mostly speaking via podcast form. However, it does appear that I've said something quite controversial. So I just want to address it right out of the gate here. I am 52 years old and I wore denim yesterday. I wore jeans on Friday. I've been getting a lot of pushback on just an off comment that I said about people over 50, men over 50 might just want to reevaluate whether or not they should continue wearing denim. Because I've had a lot of people complaining about this. So Friday night, I was in a group. I was at a going away party.
Okay.
And my friend Jorge came up. It's like, yo, is it okay that I'm wearing jeans? My friend Tony Bubbles has been sending me text messages, updating me every time that he's wearing denim. So this has turned into a little bit of a thing. Of all the words that have been spoken on this podcast, I really didn't expect us to receive most pushback on just an offhand comment whether or not people should be wearing denim pants when they're beyond the age of 50. But, here we are. So I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm just going to say, I don't think you can wear them. I just think maybe you reassess. That's all. Just reassess. And if you still feel confident to go out in your denim, then go out in your denim. The world is yours.
All right. One question and one comment, please. The question is, where were you wearing denim on a Sunday when it was in the 70s? Because I have a strict no jeans if it's 70 degrees in the afternoon. Like I'll wear it at night if I'm going out at night, or to something that is like not fancy but a little fancier. I can't wear shorts. But this was a shorts weekend for me. The weather was beautiful. So that's the question first. And I've already forgotten. Oh, I know what the comment is. As a parent, you become comfortable with the idea of you create a thing, but you don't control that thing. You have to let it go out in the universe and do its own thing. And that's kind of Section 1904. You mentioned that men over 50 should be, I don't remember the phrase you used, but it had the feeling of ashamed to wear jeans over the age of 50. And that's just that's an idea that floats out there in the world, and you lose control of it there.
No. See, you are taking these words and you are twisting them. I just said, things change. And okay, I went to brunch at Juniper and Ivy on Kettner Boulevard yesterday,
Wow,
so I did wear some cream colored denim pants.
That's
they were
fine.
not blue jeans.
That's
they
appropriate.
were cream colored denim pants. Yeah, they were nice. They were good pants. I liked them a lot. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take these pants, since I still need pants for my trip to Spain. I'm going to take these exact pants to the outlet mall and see if I can find more of them because they fit really well and I like them.
Okay.
This comes from a conversation many years ago, John, when we were working at the Mighty 1090. And I think I was making fun of our former boss, Mike Glickenhaus, right? You've heard the term mom jeans and, dad jeans.
Yeah.
And, it's not for everybody once you reach a certain age. It's just not for everybody.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Don't be the person that it's not for anymore. It's still for you. If it's still for you, keep wearing them. I'll give you another one. Jerseys. I have a closet full of soccer jerseys. I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure. I ordered one this past weekend and I put it on and I looked in the mirror and I said, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know anymore. They're slimming. They're slimming. Most soccer jerseys are a slim cut. And I don't know that I'm there physically. Yeah, tight. Slim. I would say.
Like,
more
you don't have the beer belly like I do.
No, maybe today. By tomorrow, hopefully it'll be gone. That was Easter weekend. But I mean, sometimes I just think you use some of these benchmark ages just to reassess. That's all I'm saying. I'm over 50. I'm still wearing jeans. I still put on a soccer jersey from time to time, and probably will to continue to do so. But just a little bit of awareness. All right. A lot of losing this past weekend.
Yeah.
We had a lot of losing here. Padres dropped 2 out of 3, but they win the series finale. They seem to do that a lot. That seems to be their thing,
Grit
winning
squad.
series finales. Yes. You don't sweep the grit squad. Yeah, nobody sweeps the grit squad. Grit squad is known for winning that final game of each and every one of these series. SDFC really took a beating on Saturday night in more ways than one. And then for good measure, the Sockers, lost back-to-back on Sunday night. So no Newman Cup returning to its rightful place in San Diego County. So lots of losing there to discuss on this Monday, John. I think we probably start with the Padres since it happened on Sunday Night Baseball, and there was this 10, 11-minute stretch where Luis Arráez gets injured. But has the losing gotten to you, or have you built a callus just because of all the losing that you've experienced in life? I didn't even throw in the Mavericks. I forgot to toss the Mavericks out at you as well. That was a great way to get into your weekend.
Not to mention my now beloved Los Angeles Clippers going down in overtime. We'll touch on that a little bit later. No, the all the losing that I've suffered in life is just such a cruel way to end that. No, the Arráez injury was, you were kind of pointing out people were making a big deal of it, right? But since then I've been thinking about it, and I keep seeing they talked about it on the broadcast. I saw our buddy Dylan from Letters to AJ wrote about it and said it's just not a thing that happens in baseball very often. There's not often a physical collision where someone is like loses consciousness, and that's a freaky thing for that sport. In football, you drag that guy off the field and they run the next play, but in baseball it's a bit different. The losing from this series did not bother me, and I'll bring it back to Arráez, but the losing in this series did not bother me. Those were two equally matched teams, right? And I kind of thought that going into the series. These are two equally matched teams. Pretty much every game was close, and they looked like, on a different weekend, the Padres would have taken 2 of 3, right?
Yeah.
What is starting to be concerning to me is just how much of this team is injured in April. They are now missing their starting center fielder, their starting left fielder. I'm assuming starting first baseman Luis Arráez is not playing tomorrow because they have an off day today. I don't know if he's going to miss any time beyond that. They're also missing their starting second baseman.
They're playing tonight, by the way. They're playing at Detroit tonight.
Are they? No, they're not. I looked this.
Yes, they are.
All right. I have to, because I originally wrote that on Section 1904, and then I thought I looked it up, and I was like, no, they get an off day. All right, where are we on the schedule? It is April. They play tonight. They play in 5 hours here. That I literally went and changed that on the website because I was like, there's no way they're playing a game in Houston and a game in Detroit tomorrow.
Not just a game in Houston, but a Sunday night baseball game. The final game on Major League Baseball's schedule on Sunday, then get on a plane, then go to Detroit, and then get your ass out there on the field a little later on in the day. Second time that the Padres are on Sunday Night Baseball. I had somebody put this in front of me, just as a quick aside, John, and then I'll let you get back to your thought.
Yeah.
That I think the Padres are third in all of Major League Baseball, because the networks get to pick, right? The networks get to pick the teams that they want to showcase. I think I heard this weekend that the Padres are third in all of Major League Baseball between ESPN, Apple, Peacock, Fox. They're third in baseball in the nationally televised games. How about that?
In terms of what?
You give these networks the opportunity to pick what games that you want to play and what games you want to air on Fridays, right? Like Friday, Apple TV Plus. And the Padres have the third most nationally televised games in all of Major League Baseball. If I didn't make that clear. Isn't that interesting?
That is very interesting.
Mets, I think the Mets and the
Yankees
and the Dodgers are ahead of them. No, that's what I said. I think the Mets and the Dodgers, or it might be the Mets and the Red Sox, but whatever. I know one of them was the Mets. That's right above them. And again, I will use this opportunity to say, why is it so hard to get a local television deal? We'll pay you more than $20 million when you have that kind of demand for the San Diego Padres from some of these networks. If what I was told is to be believed that they have the third most nationally televised games combined between ESPN, Apple, Peacock, etc., why are they only getting $20 million here locally? I don't understand it. But anyway, to your point, now they have to play tonight.
Now they have to play tonight. This is a very beat up team at the moment. And usually you would expect the team to be this beat up in, June heading into an all-star break, or August after being beat, little dings and scratches all year. But they're missing 4 of their starting 8 position players, and 2 guys that, would be in the starting rotation if they were not injured, in Darvish and Musgrove. It's just a lot. You're asking for a team to have so much depth that they can compete with good baseball teams with half of their position players, 4 of their 8 position players. I don't know if the Tigers are any good. I kind of hope not.
Playoff team last year.
Yeah, but the Padres are just very beat up. They are still in first place by half a game. I thought this was interesting just in terms of like the type of team that they are fielding right now. Like they're still in first place. Now they have an under 500 record on the road, not very gritty of them, but they trail only one team in baseball in run differential. Do you know what that team is?
I have it in front of me, so I'm not going to lie to you and pretend like I...
Okay, it's the Cubs.
Just came up
It's the Cubs, and they don't trail them by...
But the Cubs also won a game like 25-0.
They did, which I mean, those things happen. They have the Padres, despite trailing the Cubs and only the Cubs in run differential, they have the 4th most runs scored in the NL West. And they trail only the Mets in the number of runs allowed. They've allowed 62. The Mets have allowed 68 or 61. So basically, the Padres are winning on pitching and defense. Like, you say what you want about Tatis and Machado and Arráez and Sheets and all the good things that have come with the home runs and the contact and the action and all of that. But this team right now is being carried by its pitching and defense. And that's just an interesting thing to look at when you also consider how injured they are right now. And I wonder if, when Merrill and Hayward and Cronenworth comes back, if we start seeing more offense. I don't know. But for right now, the Arráez thing was scary-ish. Certainly a bummer. The fact that Machado had like a 20-minute at bat immediately following made it seem like the longest first inning in the history of baseball.
Where he fouled pitches off his feet
over and over again. But
man, what's going on here?
I'm not concerned about the losing with the Padres, but I am just concerned that they need to get healthier, not more injured. And that's a hard thing to do while you're literally in the middle of the season.
Yeah. I mentioned the Cubs. Here are some of their scores that have juiced their run differential. 18-3, 10-2,
45 runs.
16-0. I mean, they've had some wild ones there in Chicago. So yeah, I mean the Arráez thing, because you and I were texting about it a little bit, and I think I read too at Letters to AJ what Dylan wrote about. This just isn't something that baseball fans are used to, and I think when you watch a lot of other sports, you're used to seeing somebody go down like that.
Yeah.
And like you said, in the NFL, they just drag you out the field, like just get them out of here. And, I mean, you see it in basketball. Guys get elbowed all the time. Sometimes it's inadvertent. Sometimes it's purposeful. Sometimes you see this, a goalkeeper comes out in soccer on a cross and he tries to punch it away and he ends up punching the attacking player. So, it's just something that you don't see a lot, these kind of collisions in baseball. And baseball has done its best to remove the collisions from the sport, be it at second base, be it behind the plate. So it's even rarer to see it, right? Maybe if we had a little bit of conditioning where we would see the occasional home plate collision, right? Where a runner comes in there and blows up a catcher or a catcher blows up a runner, we would be a little bit more conditioned. But the only time you ever see any level of violence on the field anymore, violence just strictly speaking about the sport itself, is if somebody runs into the wall or runs into the stands or something like that.
They don't even collide at second base anymore on like double plays, really.
No, they do not. Second base or at home plate. Like those things are gone.
Yeah.
They've eliminated all that stuff from the game. So it was jarring. It absolutely was jarring. And I do think it is concerning. I think it's concerning just from recent experience here. Now, again, I only know what I've read. I haven't talked to anybody about this. I only know what I've read this morning at The Athletic or with Kevin Acee, or even Luis Arráez himself, who posted on Instagram that he hopes to rejoin the team tonight. I don't think I'm taking an enormous leap here in suggesting that Luis Arráez had a concussion. I don't think that's a huge leap for me to take. I don't think it's irresponsible for me to say that this guy had a concussion yesterday when his manager was quoted in the newspaper saying he didn't know where he was.
Yeah.
Right? Like he was unconscious.
Yeah.
His body was limp on the field. You could see them picking his arm up and the arm would just fall immediately to the turf. So it's not irresponsible. They haven't said he has a concussion, but I can't imagine that he does not, right? Like this is irresponsible, bad journalism for us to say he was concussed. And that concerns me because we've seen concussed players, Anthony Rizzo, Austin Nola a couple of years ago. deal with some of these symptoms from concussions for months and months and months after the fact. Fingers crossed. Hopefully that's not the case with Luis Arráez, though.
Yeah, I don't think you're being irresponsible, because I think I don't necessarily know that it's possible to lose consciousness due to a violent blow and not be concussed after the fact. Like that's your brain kind of shutting off because there's too much violence, which is almost always going to lead to some sort of concussion. So yeah, I was thinking about the same thing. I thought it was really interesting on that thing that Dylan wrote on Letters to AJ, that he pointed out that the run that Tatis scored on the misplayed throw to first base, where Tatis rounded third and came home, that he was like, that was Dubon, and maybe Dubon was trying to get the ball out quickly to avoid the collision at second base because he had the collision at first base in the back of his mind. But yeah,
that was a good observation.
It's hard not to think about, like, is there going to be long-term effects? Arráez is someone we've talked about, I think he's hitting free agency after this year. Like, it's a big season for him, and the Padres really need him. Like, they don't really have a lot of other options if he goes on the shelf to play first base and hit in that number 2 hole. So yeah, I hope he's fine, but it's definitely a worrying situation, and again, not one that you see very often in baseball since the days of catchers getting run over at home plate, which it's been 4 or 5 years now since we've seen any of that.
Yeah. So you hope it's not that, because we remember even here locally what that was like for Austin Nola, who ended up having to go see a neurologist by the end of the season. He's like, I just could not see the baseball. And, hopefully the Padres have some recent experience with that, right? The Padres have recent experience now dealing with a player, who literally, said he could not focus, and the Rizzo stuff is out there. So hopefully it's not that. Really, that's the worst case scenario. The best is that he's apparently going to be back. He's going to be back in some capacity. I'd be shocked. I would be shocked. I don't even know. Is there a concussion policy in Major League Baseball? I mean, is it even possible for him to play? I don't think so. I don't, but I will wait. And in real time watching that too, because you and I were texting a little bit back and forth. I mean, I understood, like, it was a jarring thing to see. But, especially for this sport. But, I mean, postponing the game, like what?
Yeah.
I mean, so like if his leg blew up there, would we, I mean, we've seen players break their legs out there on the field and all sorts of horrible stuff. So
we've seen
Milton.
Milton,
that was ever a consideration.
We've seen Milton Bradley tear his ACL while getting held back by Bud Black. What was so weird to me is, like, we talk about, this is not a play you see very often in baseball, right? Did you know what happened the day before? Like, almost the exact same thing.
I think there were 2 of them this weekend, right?
There was the one I saw, because Rowdy Tellez for the Mariners first baseman. There was a guy running down to first base. The pitcher picked up the ball kind of in front of home plate, fires it to the first baseman, and the first baseman, to catch the ball, Rowdy Tellez gets in the runner's way, but Rowdy's such a huge man that the guy just, like, bounced off him and hit the floor, which was kind of also what happened with Luis Arráez. So I wouldn't be surprised. I already saw people talking about, well, baseball's got to, add a double bag at first base for runner safety, and the runner touches one bag and the defender touches the other bag, and that way we avoid collisions at first base. I don't know. At some point you can't avoid collisions. They just happen every now and then. But it was weird to see 2 happen in the same weekend, almost identical, and just be like, yeah, that's, when you're running down to first base at this point, you got to, I guess, there's nothing Arráez could have done, right, to get out of the way of that, I don't think, outside of just, like, flat out stopping. I know
head first slide, right? Everybody always bitches when you see a player go head first sliding in the first base. I mean, I'm not advocating for that. I'm with you. I just think it was. I think baseball's done a pretty good job. This doesn't happen. Yeah. I understand. It's happened a couple times here, but you almost never. The fact that it's such a rare thing to see probably suggests that the sport doesn't really need to be tinkered with any further than it already has been, for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. We should probably talk about Tatis, just because we haven't. They won yesterday's game 3-2. After the Arráez thing, Machado had, like, an incredible 12 or 13 pitch at bat, as we mentioned, just fouling everything off until he got walked, and that was great. But that game was pretty much another game that we can look at and go, they don't win that game without Tatis, right? Tatis scored the second run, and then he hit a home run to take the lead, and what ended up being the game-winning run. He's,
by the way, a very similar play to what we saw in Chicago. I don't know if that was nostalgic for you, but a bit of deja vu when Justin Turner dropped the ball at first. Wasn't it Tatis who rounded third and came home?
I think that's right.
I think it's right.
I think that's right.
That was also a getaway day. Figured out how to salvage the getaway day in Chicago because there was a bit of a fumble there at first. Justin Turner was the guy that time.
Yeah.
So it reminded me a little bit of that. Just having him over there. Yeah. I like having him rounding third. Looks good.
Yeah, look, he's playing great baseball right now, right? And another thing that Dylan pointed out that I hadn't even looked at was the fact that, StatCast keeps track of how fast these guys run. And Tatis, once again, is back up as one of the fastest guys in baseball. And he's playing great defense, and he's playing great offense, and he's great on the base pass. And you said before we started recording he's leading baseball in WAR right now?
Yeah, at least the Baseball Reference.
I mean, look, yeah, I'm not going to go look up Fangraphs just to disagree with you. We can settle on that WAR for this episode. He's just playing out of his mind right now. And for all my talk about they're being led by their defense and their pitching, like they're also not whatever they are, 16-5 without Tatis playing at a, I guess, MVP level right now. And any Padres discussion, we should probably at least mention how white hot on fire he is.
Yeah. Well, I'll toss it out again. The single season offensive WAR record, Tony Gwynn, 1987, 8.6. Just going to toss it out there. Not making any predictions today. I'm just saying, at least according to baseballreference.com, Tony Gwynn, 1987, 8.6 is the club record. So
Ohtani last year was 9.2, finished with 54 home runs and 59 stolen bases. I saw someone doing the hilarious April 21st thing of projecting out Tatis's stats for the rest of the year. If he just played like this and stayed healthy for the rest of the year, two things that are almost guaranteed to not happen exactly that way. But if he did, and I think it said he would finish with like 60 home runs and 52 stolen bases, or maybe it was 59 home runs and 52 stolen bases. And I was like, that would be the second 50-50 season in MLB history, 1 year behind Ohtani. But yeah, he would, I guess he'd be up there around the nines in terms of WAR, which would be the all-time record. So, fingers crossed that somewhat unlikely thing comes to pass. That would be very fun for us to watch and cover.
And just to be thorough here, Kevin Brown holds the single season WAR for any player, position players or pitching. 1998, obviously, with an 8.6.
Should have won the MVP and didn't even win the Cy Young Award. That season aggravates me like no other.
All right. Well, at Detroit for the next 3 days. And how is your friend doing? You introduced us to a friend last week, John, and I thought about this all weekend long. Your friend who is no longer an Astros fan because of Martin Maldonado. How's your friend dealing with the weekend? I feel like there's got to be a lot of conflict going on there.
I get the feeling, and you've seen this happen with fans before, I get the feeling that she was kind of on the bandwagon for the Astros winning World Series and really fell in love with the players on that team. She seems not quite as locked in on this year's Astros team, and maybe kind of focused on some of their stars of the past. So she didn't seem really locked in on any of these games, but I'm sure she at least took a second to appreciate Maldonado. I was trying to, my
it's a very unusual stance for somebody to take.
It is a very unusual stance for someone to take.
Fandom of the Astros for Martin. I wish I had spent a little more time on that on Friday.
I mean, that's It would be like someone saying that they are now, I guess before his suspension, they are now a Jurickson Profar fan, or Braves fan to root for Jurickson Profar, which I know you've maybe flirted with, but you're not entirely there. I was interested, and I don't know if you got to see this. I was trying to catch it, but my weekend was a little chaotic. Did Maldonado and then Gurriel, who ended up playing first base on Sunday, and had one of the better defensive plays for a Padres first baseman this year, which is hilarious. I didn't see whether or not they got like a standing O from the fans or some sort of appreciation from the fans. I was trying to catch it at the beginning of the games in which those guys played, and I didn't. Did you see any sort of appreciation from the Astros fans for those guys?
I did not.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter.
I'm sorry. I watched some of it on Friday, Saturday, obviously with SDFC. I didn't catch any of it. And then I watched a bit on Sunday. But by then, I'm sure if there was any sort of welcome back moment, it already would have been diluted. So no, I did not catch any of that.
Fair
Maybe
enough.
somebody can send us an email. All right. So the Padres will pitch Randy Vasquez, Nick Pivetta, Kyle Hart. So of those three, I mean, we're hearing more and more about Yu Darvish.
Yeah.
That Yu Darvish is starting to pick up the pace a little bit.
Throwing,
and he's throwing breaking pitches.
Yep.
You know, that's kind of a big deal here. So I would think one of the interesting things to watch this time through, I think Pivetta on the road, and we can talk about it tomorrow since this is a daily podcast, I've heard. Nick Pivetta tomorrow, but Randy Vasquez, Kyle Hart now. You know, we talked about it last week. A little internal competition there with Randy Vasquez and Kyle Hart because somebody is probably going to get replaced by Darvish when Darvish is available. Fingers crossed that he is available here over the next couple of weeks.
Do you think Darvish gets a minor league start? I don't remember him getting one when he came back from his thing, his personal
I don't
thing
either,
last
and
year.
I feel like it didn't. I don't think it. I want to say I don't remember that feeling like it was a great idea that he didn't get that start. But I might have been on the sidelines by then. I'm not sure. Right, I might have been on the sidelines, so not paying attention to it like I normally would have. But I seem to remember somebody suggesting, well, maybe he called it. He said he didn't want a minor league start.
I think I remember that.
Do it.
I think they did like a simulated game with like Padres hitters or something like that instead. I don't know. Look, if we talked about maybe going up to El Paso for a game. I would love to see you Darvish pitch or not El Paso, Lake Elsinore. I would love.
I was going to say, have I missed something?
No.
El Paso?
I mix those two up all the time. I would love to go up to Lake Elsinore and see you Darvish just befuddle single A hitters. That would be fun for me.
Did Darvish? He pitched in Cactus League this year. I'm trying to think. Because I think part of it also was when he left last year. When he left last year with the family situation, one of the things that I distinctly do remember, and I don't remember whether this was reported or not, I just know that this is what I was told, was that he was sending messages back to the team that he was staying in shape, right? Like this wasn't an injury situation. This was, I am going to stay in shape. I don't know if I'm going to make it back, but I'm doing everything I can. I'm on a regular routine. No, it's not a baseball routine, but I'm keeping myself healthy, my arm, my elbow. I'm doing a lot of the things. I'm throwing. I have to be with the family. And he sent that message back. He wanted everybody in the clubhouse to know that, even if he wasn't going to make it back, he was at least keeping himself physically in the type of shape, the best that he could, so that he could come back and it wouldn't be, some long, prolonged situation where, he has to go and play in El Paso or Elsinore or wherever. And this is different, though. This is different because if he hasn't thrown, then I think, you got to get him throwing. You don't just get to come back here and just, boom, there you are. Get on out there and go face the Dodgers.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
He pitched in 2 Cactus League games, 6 2/3 innings. So
he hasn't even had spring training.
No.
So, he's going to need some reps somewhere. He can't just come back into the rotation for me.
I mean, I kind of started with that of like, you can't just let him waltz into the rotation. And then I was like, do they put him in the bullpen or do they put him in the minor leagues to get ramped up? And the answer is probably just going to end up being like a bunch of simulated games. But I'd love to see him in a minor league game. I don't know why. That just sounds fun.
All right. So Section 1904. This is the Monday show. We've had a lot of people, and thank you very much. I would love to shout each and every one of you out individually each time that we see a new subscription come in, but this is a subscription-based podcast. Everything is still on the free trial status as of today. We are working to figure out exactly when it is that we want to go live with, how it's going to work and operate for us as a business, not as a hobby, as we've discussed. If you've missed any of the previous podcasts, maybe you're new to it, maybe you're just jumping in today because you want to find out what the hell happened Saturday night with San Diego Football Club. And I do have some people that are asking me questions about Adrés Reyes and some of the rotations, which we'll get to here momentarily. But we're still in an open window situation where these podcasts are currently free. But in order for us to, we're requesting as little as $5 a month for you to become a subscriber. And John has worked tirelessly on the website. You've also been posting content there. I enjoyed your old man, give me back my remote control and my last channel button that got a little bit of run over the weekend. Way to go. Here I am talking about 50-year-olds in jeans, and you make me feel like a spring chicken because you're yelling about your remote control not having a last channel feature. But for people that want to get involved with our community, John, this is important. They can go to section1904.com and they can get a lot of the information and a lot of the details there.
Absolutely. I've actually had people ask me like, hey, where's the subscribe page? They're all subscribe pages. Go to any of the pages on section1904.com. There's a red button in the top right. If you are not subscribed, I believe it says subscribe. If you are subscribed and logged in, I think it just says account, and you can get your account information. But go to Section 1904, pick your tier level that you would like to subscribe at. You're not locked in it forever. If you pick $5 a month and you want to change that to one of the higher tiers later, when we start rolling out more of the features for the upper tiers, you are more than welcome to do that. And yeah, I think sometime in the next couple weeks here, the Monday show will probably stay free, but the other episodes and a lot of the blog posts are going to end up being behind a paywall. I did put a thing on section1904.com. I think it's called So You've Subscribed to a Private Podcast, explaining to people how to go about getting access to that private podcast in whatever podcast player you use. So you're going to want to try and get in on that now. All episodes are being posted to that feed as well, so you won't miss anything. And then going forward, when we start doing paywalled episodes, you'll be all ready for it.
Yeah, there will always be some free episodes that you can find. I think you and I are working on that. Like we feel like our Monday is probably going to be available to anybody. So if you can only deal with us once a week, well, then there you go.
That's
I
fair.
subscribed to the Union Tribune today, John.
Did you?
I did. I got a digital subscription for $1 for the entire year.
You know, you talked about this like a week or two ago about seeing that, and I almost subscribed as well for that same reason of I think I can get $1 worth of value out of the Union Tribune over the course of a year.
I think 1,000%. I think it's worth it just for Kevin Acey's daily notebook. I think Acey does. I agree with what Dylan said. I think Acey does a really, really. I don't care about the game stories.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I can do the game story.
Sure.
Anybody can do the game story, but I do like the Padres Daily.
Yeah.
The insider stuff there. He's got a lot of good information.
He does.
From Kevin, who often gets punched around town for whatever reason. I think some of it is his own doing, but I still think he does a good job there. That's a lot. He puts a lot of work into that, and I for one at least appreciate it, and I don't think I'm alone. So yes, $1 for an entire year, and I would like to say thank you to the management at iHeartRadio for changing all their usernames and passwords. So I have to resubscribe to all this stuff myself now. But $1 for a year feels like a pretty good deal. So I'm with you on that one. And this is $5. And you'll get just countless hours of entertainment and all sorts of fun stuff. Access to a Discord channel. John, I got a text message from Will Holder asking me what the hell is Discord. And I didn't really know how to explain it to him other than to say, download the app and see if it's for you, Will. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Either way, it'll be available if you want to chime in and be part of the Section 1904 community via Discord. You can do that as well.
Yeah, actually, the Discord was probably set to launch yesterday. We ran into two problems, which is one, my buddy John Crean, who's better at programming and coding than me, and has been taking over some of the higher technical issues that I've been bumping into and helping them with me. Also has children and I believe family in town for Easter, so he was a little held up this weekend. And also we were trying to do it so that like depending on what tier level you subscribe to, your name would show up differently in the Discord. Don't ask us why. And I think we finally figured out that we can't do that. So instead it's just going to be everyone get in the boat and we're all just going to chat on the Discord. But that's still coming. If not today, then tomorrow or the day after. It kind of depends on how much free time we have, but it's coming. It's going to be really fun. I'm actually looking forward, if we can get it up today, I'm looking forward to kind of prodding you about the Knicks in our NBA channel during the game tonight. That's going to be particularly fun for me.
4:30 p.m. Yeah. Well, what about, will people be able to prod you? You're a self-proclaimed Tottenham Hotspur fan.
Oh, God.
You even know that they're playing today at 12 noon?
Are they still playing? I'm just...
Or is that off your radar? Or are you just, in name only, are you a Tottenham fan? Tottenham might be finding a way into the Europa League final there, John.
Look, they're taking on Nottingham Forest today. I know that it's happening. I'm going to pay attention to the score. I don't know if I'm going to search out that game and actually watch it. We'll see how busy I am at about noon today. I will support the Spurs for as long as I can. But it's been a pretty poor product to watch for a couple months now. But if they're getting their feet under them, like I said, I unsubscribed from Peacock, so I haven't seen a lot of them. If they're getting their feet under them, maybe it's time to resubscribe. We'll see.
Oh man, we might have an incredible Europa League final. What if it's Manchester United after that dramatic win? Manchester United and Tottenham in the final for Europa League. That would be amazing. As Ange Postecoglou is probably going to get booted regardless of what happens here. But what if Ange wins a trophy, a significant trophy in Europa League? Man, like that might be a little bit awkward, but we'll see what will happen. Yeah, not a ton of footy out here on a Monday. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you saw this, but they canceled all of the Serie A, the Italian soccer matches today because of the passing of Pope Francis.
Oh.
So every professional soccer match in Italy has been postponed due to Pope Francis's passing away.
That I did not know that. That is nice and reverential, and I don't know. Pope Francis seemed like a good pope. My guess is he probably would support soccer being played on this day, but
he was a big football fan.
Yeah,
Pope Francis.
I'm not surprised.
He was huge football fan.
Wasn't he from like?
Yeah, he was often asked about since he's Argentine.
That's it.
Was Argentine. He was often asked about Messi and Maradona.
Yeah,
and he would say, "I really liked watching Pele."
Yeah,
you know, I mean, he was probably the second most popular Argentine
behind Messi.
Argentine behind Messi.
Argentinian.
Right? No, I think it's Argentine.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I would have him probably behind Messi.
I probably
maybe ahead of Manu Ginobili though.
Probably
ahead. I will say, I don't know how much you want to talk about religion.
Let's do it.
But I do appreciate the history and the magnitude of conclave, of seeing what's happening at the Vatican, at St. Peter's Basilica. I think you've been there. I've been there. So you understand what it's like to be standing in front of these facilities, seeing all the history. You know, I've been to Catholic grammar school, high school, and college. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm well versed in religion. I would probably say I'm somewhere, and I'm not looking for any salvation here, but I'm probably, you know, I'm not. I would say agnostic. You know, maybe a little more pragmatic agnostic for me.
Sure.
Not apathetic, but you know, more pragmatic. But you know, having been around religion my whole life, I do really like the history of it, and you know, watching all of these bishops show up there for conclave, right? Like I do appreciate that, like that this matters to 1 billion plus Catholics all across the world. I mean, it's, you know, it's a big deal. It just feels like a big deal.
Yeah, and you know, it's an interesting thing for me and you as people who grew up in the Northeast and now live in Southern California, because things in the Northeast are much older than they are in Southern California, right? You would walk around New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, and bump into historical landmarks that are 300 years old and still related to, you know, the beginning parts of this country. It's cool to go to Europe. It's cool to go to Italy. It's cool to watch religious traditions. It's even cool to watch, you know, governmental traditions, like when the Queen passed last year, and just be like, this is how this has been done for like 1,000 years. And
centuries they've been doing this.
And that's so cool that they're just like, we're going to stick to it, doing it this way because we've been doing it for centuries. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm probably a little bit more atheist than you, unsurprisingly, but I also went to Catholic high school. I have more religious knowledge than I would otherwise. And I find all this to be fascinating. Have you seen the movie, well-timed movie, by the way, that came out a few months ago about conclave, called Conclave?
I did not. No. What's it on?
What did I say? I think I rented it on like Apple TV Plus or something. It was in the theaters a couple months ago, and it was basically about conclave, right? The movie starts with the Pope passing away, and Ray Fiennes is put in charge of the conclave. And then it's all of these other cardinals. You know, it kind of turns into like a drama reality TV show. Who's lying? Who's not lying? Who's a good guy? Who's a bad guy? As all of these cardinals basically try and vie for votes, and then they're doing revotes, and this guy's getting votes now, and there's like a mystery character. It shows up out of nowhere. It's good. It's entertaining. It's not the best movie I've ever seen, but it's very, very entertaining. And if you're at all interested in conclave, which I find to be very fascinating, like you, it's a really fun watch.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, for what it's worth, not that anybody cares. I mean, I felt like he was a pretty, he was a pretty good Pope. You know, I
Agreed.
mean, for as much as I'm sort of not in that space anymore, for lots of reasons. I don't really, I don't know if anybody cares if I go into them or not. But I did go to one of these Catholic schools where we had a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Like a lot of issues, and it was unbeknownst to me at the time, only to find out years and years and years later some of the stuff that was going on there, which is, Spotlight. You've seen the movie Spotlight?
I have.
Yeah. Like, that sort of stuff was going on where I went to school. And, the fact that so much of that was just like, oh, we'll just transfer this guy to some other place, Like it just, it's crazy. But again, I'm mostly respectful of people. And, I do wonder what a world would be like if we didn't have a religion, right? Not to be all John Lennon, but, like would people, how would people actually behave? I couldn't even make a prediction on that, but I will be watching just for the historical significance of what's going to happen here over the next, what is it, like 9 days of mourning, and then they go into conclave. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, it's it's big. Like you could tell, like it's really, really big. So anyhow, and again, that he happened to, he seemed to prioritize a lot of things that I think matter to people like me and a lot of other people about, taking care of people and taking care of people who are not wealthy and poor and people who are from other places and immigrants. And, I mean, he just seemed to have a lot of themes there that you hadn't heard a ton from somebody sitting in that position throughout the years. But I guess, no soccer was the point of this tour that we took here today, that there's no Italian soccer on the television. So we're stuck with friggin' Tottenham and Nottingham Forest coming up a little later on. Speaking of soccer, Saturday night, I'm not going to make any predictions on SDFC on this podcast or anywhere else, but I think I made it quite clear. I thought that this was going to be really, really hard. SDFC traveling across the country to go to Charlotte. We laid out all the reasons why this would be difficult. Turf, travel, short week. Also, by the way, Charlotte, really good. Really, really good team. Yeah. I think this is the best team that we have seen all year. Columbus was probably the best. Columbus lost this past weekend. They were sitting first in the Eastern Conference. Did you see what they made Columbus do, by the way?
No, what'd they do?
So Columbus, Ohio, and Cleveland, John. Do you know how close Columbus and Cleveland, two cities in Ohio? I mean, I don't expect everybody to be an expert in Ohio geography.
I guess they're about 100
But how
miles.
far? Yeah, something like that. About 2 hours.
Yeah.
2 hours and 15 minutes when I looked this up on my iPhone.
Okay.
Because I wanted to find out. When I was preparing, I had Apple TV on, and they were promoting, obviously, Inter Miami was playing against Columbus. And they were interviewing Jerry Jeudy on the sideline. And I thought, wow, Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver. He's being interviewed on Apple TV Plus.
Sure.
He made his way to Columbus. Isn't that interesting? And then I did a double take and I said, no, actually they're playing at the Cleveland Browns Stadium.
Oh, this is what we were talking about last week. Why the attendance, and you were like, every time Messi comes to town, they just play in a football stadium because they can sell more tickets. They made all their fans drive 2 hours to go watch Columbus play in Cleveland for Messi.
Correct. Absolutely. Again, it's not like Chicago, where Chicago has an MLS stadium and then you go and you play at Soldier Field or whatever it's called.
Right.
That seems like it might be a little inconvenient, but a lot of Chicago sports fans probably know how to get that done.
Yeah.
But when you're in Columbus, Ohio, and you're 2+ hours away from Cleveland, and you've recently, within the last 5-6 years, got a new stadium. Now, I will say, I think Jimmy Haslam is the owner of the Columbus Crew and the Cleveland Browns, so you probably don't have a lot of room to complain and bitch about this one. But I can. You can if you're Wilfred Nancy, who's the head coach there. You can if you're him. You can't be like, what the fuck are we doing? But I can say it on a podcast in San Diego. They made all these people pack up in their cars and go into the home of the Cleveland Browns to watch this game. Inter Miami won 1-0.
This is, oh, Jesus, even worse.
And they even put Jerry Jeudy on the spot. They're like, well, who are you rooting for today? It's like, Messi.
This would be if Inter Miami was coming to San Diego and San Diego FC was like, guys, we're playing this at SoFi. We're going to sell 80,000 tickets and we're going to play this at SoFi. Do you understand what a slap in the face that would be to San Diegans? Like
That's exactly what I was thinking. Now,
God.
again, there is this tie-in because I think Jimmy Haslam owns both the Columbus Crew and the Cleveland Browns. I think I have that right. So, maybe you have to say, listen, this guy saved Major League Soccer in Columbus, so we can drive there. If he wants to put it in the NFL stadium, I guess we got to just deal with what we got to deal with. This would be different. This would be different, but it's
not that.
I thought the same thing. Can you imagine? It's essentially asking people to make that kind of trek. I will say I was really impressed. There were a lot of the yellow jerseys there. So a lot of Columbus fans either in Cleveland or made the trip. So good for them. They got 60,000 plus people. Anyhow, the original point is Columbus lost and Charlotte won. And Charlotte beat SDFC 3-0. And, really just made a mess of things. And Adrés Reyes made his debut. He lasted 45 minutes and saw 2 yellow cards and got sent off. So I did not realize this. I was kicking myself for not realizing this. Adrés Reyes made his debut. He has now 39 yellow cards in his career, 6 red cards. He has led Major League Soccer twice in yellow cards. 2023, he had 13. In 2020, he had 11. So this is just me online looking this stuff up. But he has 39 yellow cards, 6 red cards, and has led Major League Soccer twice. So this is part of the Adrés Reyes experience that when he's out there, he's a bit of a liability. So just buckle up, everybody. This is what's in store for us. Not this week because he'll be suspended, but from here on moving forward, he looked terrible.
He got a yellow, and then like the next thing that happened was
6 minutes later. Yep.
Well, the guy on Charlotte goes down with his hamstring. He did something to his hamstring, right?
Yeah.
He falls down, and then they're like, "Hold on, we need to warm up this other guy who can come in and be a
Tim Ream." Right.
They're standing around for 10 minutes, and then they come back, and like 30 seconds later, he gets a red that goes down to a second yellow and gets him kicked out anyway. By the way, love the thing where he had to come back to the end of the tunnel so the referee could show him the yellow. That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It's like when the ref has the yellow and the guy's like running away from him, like, if you don't show it to me, you won't give it to me. I mean, what was he doing in the interim? What was he doing when everyone was sitting around waiting? Was he just steaming mad, ready to get revenge on people? Like, it was one of the dumbest debuts I've ever seen from a player in any sport. Like, I imagine the coaches were mad. I imagine the teammates were mad. As a fan, I was mad. Like, what a terrible, I can't imagine a worse first impression.
Yeah, he never looked like he was really in the flow. It never looked like, I went back and watched it yesterday morning. I watched about the first 60 minutes. So I watched the entire first half and then about 15, 20 minutes of the second half, just so I could see what it looks like again, because you miss a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And I ended up calling this game on 760. Adrian Garcia Marquez had a family situation very last minute. So I kind of got put into the play-by-play spot at the last second. And, my mind's going a million miles per hour. So I don't even know that I had a full appreciation for everything that was happening until I was able to watch it back. But, he just never. Now, he also hasn't had any preseason. This is the first time that he's playing all year. I want to be a bit fair here. And you're throwing him out there against a team again. That's as good a team as we've seen through 9 games. And it's only 9 games.
Yeah.
But they're sitting on top of the Eastern Conference standings for a reason. It's their 4th year. This is Charlotte's 4th year. They've gotten better every year. They have a really good coach. They spent a little bit of money out there on the transfer market. They brought in Wilfred Zaha. This Pep Biel character, what a little player he is.
Oh my gosh.
He's leading the league in goal contributions and added that first assist, which went right through Reyes' legs.
Yeah.
Didn't notice that in real time. But he got nutmegged right on that first goal. That ball was passed right between Adrés Reyes' legs and found, what's his name? Abada, who ended up putting in the first goal. And then there was the penalty kick from Ajimong. And then there was the set piece. Kind of similar to what happened in Colorado, in that you gave up a goal when you kind of lost track of a player who got behind who just found some space, gave up a set piece goal. Last week it was a corner. This week it was a foul just outside of the box and a penalty. So, but this time though, there was no goal scoring to be had. As a matter of fact, just a couple quickies here. Yepi Turskov, who leads Major League Soccer in touches, they were just going to prevent him from getting the ball. He had 72 touches in this game. That's following 74 against Colorado. It is quite clear what is happening. They are saying, let us take away Yepi Turskov. Let us not let the ball get to him. and we're going to have a chance. This is going to have to be an adjustment from SDFC at some point this week, because it's back-to-back weeks now where the teams have just essentially said, when we don't have the ball, we're going to put a defender right on Yepe, and we're just going to make it difficult for him to get the ball and start advancing it. So that's why you started seeing some long balls over the top, etc. We talked about the red card. What are you going to do? You're down to 10. You're on the turf. Everything we already said. It felt like a wrap. I don't know, Mikey, I'm curious to hear what he has to say this week. I was asked a question on Twitter, John, because I spend a ton of time on Twitter these days.
I know you do.
This is from Brian SDC. Hope you can explain to us new soccer fans on Section 1904 why Godoy and De La Torre didn't start. To my eyes, they seem like two of the best players on the team so far. Maybe I'm missing something. Did hear Mikey's explanation, but it didn't make sense with the success. Yeah, I mean, when you're playing 34 games, I think, you have to find some spots to rotate. You do have to find some spots to rotate. Was this the right spot to rotate? I'm not so sure. That he ended up having to make two changes at the half, a change right before the half. To me, it sort of suggests maybe they kind of got things a bit wrong. I'll have a chance to chat with Mikey tomorrow. Mikey Barrs, the head coach. I don't mind rotating, but rotating 2/3 of your midfield was an interesting choice.
Yeah.
I will tell you, Mikey said to me on Thursday last week, he said, and I think I said it here, that he was going to wait and see the way the team practiced on the turf before he decided what his starting 11 was going to look like. And it's not something he could have done in San Diego because we don't have that kind of turf here. So he had to see it. They practiced on Friday at Bank of America Stadium in Columbus. Not Columbus, Charlotte. I don't know why I make that mistake. I made it during the broadcast too on a goal call. It's brutal. But they had to do it. He wanted to see them practice. So he must have seen something. I don't know what he saw that made him think that Alejandro Alvarado and Oni Valakari were better choices. But, especially when you put players into your starting 11 that you ended up subbing off. I mean, he subbed off Thomas Angel right before the half to bring in a defender and Hamidi Diop, who I thought played really well.
But all of this was Reyes' fault. This was Reyes' fault. He had to adjust when they went down to 10 men.
I know, but he wanted to bring in a defender, so he sacrificed a bit of an attacking player for a defensive player because he needed to get somebody back on the back line. I don't know. I mean, he tried some things. He tried McVay out there on the left side. I didn't think it was bad. I appreciate that McVay has at least earned himself an opportunity to start, even when Reyes and McNair are both playing. But, man, it just seemed like some of the substitutions suggested, they were kind of guessing what was going on there.
It really felt like he was like, I'm going to try something different, and we're going to see if it works. And then Reyes blew up the whole thing. And then they were like, well, now we just got to go to, whatever backup plans we can come up with.
Yep.
I actually thought Alvarado was okay.
He was okay, but he's not an offensive kind of guy, and they wanted to get a little bit of an attacking presence out there. And, you bring in Alvarado because he's the closest thing you have in the midfield to Godoy.
Right, and then when it was obvious that they weren't going to let Yepe get the ball, Chucky tried to start becoming the facilitator in that third, and I felt like there was no one to finish. Like Chucky needed to be able to pass to Chucky, and there was no one to finish, and they were boxing him in so that he couldn't get any good runs with the ball. Just a bad game. And the second,
just a bad game. You know what else happened in this game that hasn't happened all year?
What?
Adrés Reyes didn't take a shot.
And he
leads the team in shots, 27 shots through the first 9. He still leads the team by 11 and did not take a shot for the first time in 2025.
This was the first time that they felt like a little bit of an immature expansion team. And I was thinking back, who did they play against that they got the red card against them? Was it Real? Was it Real Salt Lake when they were in Utah that got
Columbus?
It was Columbus?
I think it was here. Yeah, Columbus picked up a red card, denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity with Adrés Reyes, actually.
Yeah, and then after that, Columbus was terrifying, right? They even a man down, they kept getting goal opportunities. Dos Santos had to block good shots. And it felt like San Diego went down 10 and they were just, and I thought maybe part of it was just they were playing such a different style with different personnel that they were just man, I don't know what to do now. And the second half, I didn't watch nearly as closely as the first half, but when Mighton got that, could have been a red but it was a yellow, I think, at like the 70th minute, somewhere around there. That looked like I'm not going to say it looked like a dirty play, but it was obviously.
I think you're talking about Diop.
Was it Diop? It was Diop.
Yeah.
You're right. I thought it was Mighton, but I mixed those two up.
Yeah, I mean, there was a little edge to that. I know which play you're talking about. Kind of booted a guy going out of bounds.
No, I'm talking about, maybe it was Mighton. There was a play where he like dragged a guy down, and on the replay you could see it was so much worse. He like literally hooked the guy's arm, hooked the guy's leg, and like took him down and like landed on him. And I think he got a yellow for it. Doesn't matter. I saw the last 20, 30 minutes of the game just like some frustration that it felt like Columbus in the same situation did not get frustrated. They were just like, we can still do this. And it felt like San Diego, the longer that game went on, they were just like, ugh, like this sucks. Mad I'm here. Mad we're losing. Once it, they're down 3 with 20 minutes left. Everyone's just like playing out the string, but they're pissed about it. And I don't know. It was a bummer. And honestly, games like that are going to.
It was. I didn't know. I didn't love their chances, but I thought that they would
have more fight.
More competitive.
Games like that are going to happen, and it's an opportunity to see how they bounce back at home against a pretty good Real team this week. So if they come out against Real and they look like themselves and they play really well, everyone's going to be like, cool, they know how to bounce back, and we'll go forward with that.
Absolutely. I mean, I said it last week. I'll update it. Charlotte is 5-0 at home and nobody else has that record. They are 5-0 at home with a +11 goal differential. So they are tough there on that turf. And I am glad that SDFC does not have to see them again this year, but they will see Real Salt Lake for the second time. And you brought up the point, right now, when you look at SDFC, they've lost back-to-back road games. They've lost back-to-back weeks. Both of them are on the road. They've lost 3 consecutive away games. So they lost this past weekend to Columbus. I keep confusing this. This past weekend to Charlotte. The previous week they lost to Colorado, and then they lost to Austin. If you go back to March 15th, I think it was.
Yeah.
But at home, they've scored 3 against LAFC in Seattle, and they're 8 out of 12, so they're undefeated at home. I think following back-to-back, really, really, Charlotte lost to Colorado. That's how good Colorado is.
Wow.
I think Colorado's really. I know they're not top 4 yet in standings, but I think they're pretty. They're 5. They're good.
They're right above San Diego and LAFC.
Yeah.
2 good teams.
Yeah,
and Seattle.
That's a good team. I'm with you. I don't think there's any great shame. I didn't. This one, it just felt like in the second half. I think there were some performances. Chucky playing 90 minutes, I think is. I don't know if it's a big deal in the context of losing back to back, but it's something. Yeah. It's not nothing. I thought Mighton came off the bench, played pretty well. I thought Diop came off the bench, played pretty well. Other than that, and Dos Santos made 7 saves, something like that. So, and he didn't have a lot of help out there, and that was a tough one. But
he's so close.
I'm with you. Like they were so close. They fought all the way to the end in Colorado at elevation, and I was just hoping that they could maybe go out, clip a point against Charlotte. But man, when the game gets corrupted like that on a red card, which was deserved, there's just only so much you can do.
What stinks is that what they could really use right now is a good defensive back who can just settle that whole back line and be ready for it, right? Because like they play so far up that they ask so much of their defenders. What they need is what I think they hope they're getting in Adrés Reyes, but didn't get it in game 1. Like you said, going to be suspended, not going to get it next week. If he comes back in a couple weeks and he looks good, he could be the solidifying factor that puts them back on a good run again. But right now the defense is looking a little suspect, or just a little, they could use some help. They could use a breather.
Yeah. I mean, I like the way McNair and McVay have played side by side, and I think Loffelson, who was playing much more attacking this past weekend, has he didn't have a great one, but it wasn't a nightmare. And there is a report out there from Tom Bogert of Gimme Sport and CBS that they're close to acquiring now he's a kid, 18 years old, but close to acquiring a defensive player from San Jose. I haven't seen anything official on that, but I would expect that guy doesn't get many wrong. He's an MLS insider. Cool. He's got good sources. So when he says that SDFC and San Jose are closing in on a trade, I believe it. So we'll see if that gets announced here. Maybe by the time this podcast posts, we'll see what happens. But maybe a little bit of help. I'm not so sure. He's an 18-year-old kid who mostly plays left back or right back. So I don't have his name in front of me. Oh, actually, I do. Oscar Verhoeven.
Verhoeven.
So, yeah, U.S. under 20 type player.
Okay.
So don't know much about him. Just saw a couple of interviews online just because I was kind of curious. But I think being back home is a really, really big deal for these guys,
Yeah.
you know, and especially, you know, getting the type of like support that they've got. It's a 4:30 game too. That's a 4:30 Saturday afternoon
That's
game.
their
Which,
first their first
I
afternoon
love
game at
this.
Snapdragon, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. I do. You know, gets me out of there for dinner. So, you know, I'm sure the fans will be ready. I'm sure that they will be ready, and I think that'll be an important part of the game. Now to see Real Salt Lake for a second time. This is another first for this club, to see a Western Conference opponent for the second time in a season, see what sort of adjustments they make. Remember, that's a game that was 1-1 going in the stoppage time, and Dreyer scored, Ingvartsen scored, both in stoppage time, 91st minute, 96th minute. So it was 1-1. It looked like it was going to be a good point away at Salt Lake, and ended up being all three coming back home.
Yeah.
So that was a really, really great night for SDFC. Hopefully they can do it again coming up. I will be back with the pre-half and post. It'll be Adrian and Warren on the call. So yeah, I got tossed into that play-by-play chair very last minute, which is why I don't know why I'm making this mistake about Charlotte and Columbus.
Neither do I, because those are, it's
Ridiculous.
even different like C sounds, right? Because one's the ch and one's the k. But I don't know. Something in your brain.
I don't know.
Two good.
It was okay.
Two good teams that start with C.
Yeah, I think they'll be better, you know, and we'll be around it a little bit this week. Like I said, I know that they're committed to the style and they're not going to make a ton of changes, but man, you just got to figure out a way to get Yeppe a little bit more involved, because you can see those other teams are like, well, we're going to take this dude out, and good luck to you. Let's see if you can beat us going up one of the wings.
Well, and that's the point of the guy on Twitter is like if they're blocking off Yeppe, you get Luka involved, right? But Luka wasn't really out there.
I don't know. Maybe Luka didn't train well. Maybe it was just part of the schedule. Maybe he didn't like what he saw on Friday.
On the turf,
but then it didn't take him long to put him in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was subbed in right at the half. So, I think that's when you toss it.
Yeah.
You really just toss it. Nothing went well. You know, you have to really search hard for some positives from this one.
Yeah.
So I think you're probably. And then, just for good measure, I was so excited. I really thought today, John, that we'd be talking about another championship coming to San Diego for the San Diego Sockers. The Sockers, which won the first leg against Chihuahua, then ended up losing the second leg and then the mini game afterwards. So Chihuahua, talk about home field advantage. I don't think a U.S. team is. I saw this on CBS. I'm not going to have the stat right, but no team really goes in there and has success, was the long and short of it when I saw a game preview. So the Sockers were so close to another championship, but heartbreak on Sunday night.
I saw our buddy Craig Elston actually went down there with the team to call the game, and his Instagram stories were really fun, showing some of the intricacies of that arena and that place. But I saw one thing. He had a picture of a banner they had that said that Chihuahua was the 2020-2021 champions. And I think...
Yeah, these two have won like the last 5 or 6 or something.
Right,
like that.
But that year, I remember that year, because I think it was Craig's first time going down to Chihuahua and calling the game there. And Craig just literally posted the banner and he was like, no, the Sockers won it that year. Like he was basically saying this banner is completely incorrect. They're claiming a championship that they didn't win. But yeah, that's a bummer. Sockers, as per usual, had a great season, and we're in it towards the end. But yeah, bummer that they didn't bring home the Newman Cup.
Yeah, I did. I saw a preview because I watched a lot of that Galazzo channel on the CBS app.
Yeah,
and I saw a preview for it, and they were talking about how these are the two teams, but like it's so hard, and I don't fully understand the format. There was a game in San Diego, up in Oceanside. Mm-hmm. And the Sockers won that, which put them on the precipice of a championship.
Okay.
And then they go to Chihuahua, and I guess Chihuahua has the choice, if I heard this correctly. You play a regular game, mm-hmm. and then you can play another game, like a third game, right? Best out of 3, or you can play what's called a mini game, which is like a 10-minute game,
like overtime.
And Chihuahua decided before they even played, they were going to play a regular game, and then if they won that, they were going to play the mini game.
Okay.
So that's what they did. So they ended up winning both of them and thus denying San Diego Soccer's, their 16th or 17th?
A lot.
Man. Yeah.
A lot. Well,
a lot.
That's a bummer for the Sockers.
It is.
Well,
their fans are, their fans have been great.
Yeah. And now they have their own arena up here in Oceanside. I think they're making an even stronger connection to at least some of this community around here. Before we get out of here, because we're already over an hour, the Knicks play tonight. I know you got to see almost none of the Knicks game because it was happening during SDFC
Correct.
lead up and
Correct.
all of that.
I kept seeing all the Knicks group chat texts rolling in.
It was
not a happy group for half and then pretty happy after.
It was real bad for about 3 quarters. And then in the fourth quarter, it's one of those situations where like half of my timeline is like, wow, the Pistons are shitting themselves. And half of my timeline is like, oh, look, Cat came to life. He's saving the Knicks. I was wondering where you are with it. If you're going to be able to watch tonight's game, how excited you are to actually watch a Knicks playoff game in 2025.
Very. I will be into this tonight. I just couldn't get into it on Saturday, and I'm not going to record games or any of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, by the time you get out, and I noticed that there were a couple of worrying texts on the group chat, but then everybody was happy afterwards and went about their business. And it doesn't sound like it's any big deal that Brunson was limping around in the fourth quarter. He had a really, really good game.
Yeah.
So, and you had sent me a text said something about their coach being out of his mind. I don't know what that was in reference to. I was like, John, I just got put into the play-by-play chair. I have no idea what you're talking about.
That was when I found out. He was playing a lot of, I think it was Landry Shamet. Is that the guy on their team? Mm-hmm. It was like the first quarter of the Knicks' first playoff game of the season. It was like so much Landry Shamet. And then Shamet ended up hitting like a huge shot for them in the fourth quarter. So it was fine. But everyone and
Campaign had a big game too.
Campaign and Cat were like basically the guys who brought the team back when Brunson was like limping around and everyone was unsure how bad his ankle was going to be. It was a good game for the Knicks. It was a terrible game for the Pistons. But yeah, Tibbs was just doing things a little... He was getting very experimental in the first playoff game, and it was very interesting to see. I'm interested to see how the Knicks go about game 2, how the Pistons bounce back. There was you'll be happy to know it was very feisty. There was a lot of pushing, a lot of shoving, a lot of words.
As it should be.
A lot of words being said. There was references to the early 90s versions of both of these teams and how semi reminiscent it was of that. So I imagine there'll be some edge on that series going forward. And just to, for California people, Warriors looked great. They blew out the Rockets. I hope that continues because it's fun to see this Warriors team be this good and also a 7 seed.
Held them to 85. Yeah, that's what really stood out. Like 85 in a playoff. It's not what you'd expect to see.
Yeah, and like the Rockets are just really young, right? And their young players just they kind of all had it. Jalen Green had a terrible game. Amen Thompson was great at the end, but for the first like 3.5 quarters looked really lost, which was weird. The Lakers just looked too small, which was very interesting. Like I saw a lot of analysis afterwards. It's like, I don't know, they can't get bigger. So it's going to be interesting to see if they figure out a thing there. And then the Clippers Nuggets played an absolutely fantastic game that I'm pretty sure the Nuggets just the Clippers ran out of gas because they were playing at altitude and the Nuggets are used to it. But lots of good NBA playoff basketball this weekend. Some bad that I didn't really pay much attention to, but lots are really good.
And like it's on every night multiple times. Like tonight, 2 games. Let me just see. I'm just scrolling through. Tomorrow night, 3 games. Wednesday night, 3 games. Mm-hmm. Thursday night, 3 games.
For the next like 6 weeks.
Friday night, 3. Saturday, Sunday, 4 games. Like it's great. It doesn't mean that baseball gets moved to the back burner, but it means that baseball can get moved to the back burner, and you can focus in on this, and you could say, okay, we've kind of hit that stride in baseball where you're going to win and you're going to lose, and like you're going to have to. I think a lot of people, a lot of sports fans will say, well, you're going to have to tell me why this regular season baseball thing is more important than this playoff basketball thing. And I think, a lot of people get wired that way. Like I will probably start each and every day, just trying to look at the playoff matchups because, we're in the regular season with expanded postseason where not every game feels like it's a huge game in the sport. But in basketball, like now these are all important games. Everybody bitches all year long about how long the season is and all the effort that is or isn't put into these games. And now you got it.
Yep.
So, now you got the intensity there. You got great matchups and big name players out there playing, and you have drama and teams in holes already and teams in a little bit of trouble and tension. So, this is, if you're somebody who's going to take the time to go complain all season about the NBA, well, then this is when you got to really buckle down and watch it, because this is when it's really good. And I'm not one of those that complains. It is what it is. But I do find myself really, really interested in this sort of stuff.
Same.
It's good.
Same. So go Knicks and go Clippers tonight. Also, to bring it full circle, I think the reason you didn't care about my previous channel last button rant quite as much as many other people, despite you being 10 years my senior, is because you have multiple TVs. And it's going to be very easy for you to watch both the baseball and the basketball tonight. Otherwise,
but I do have a last channel button on YouTube TV.
You have it on YouTube.
I mean, you do.
But you can't do it when you're watching like SDFC or something that's not on YouTube TV, right? It only works for stuff that's on YouTube TV.
I don't know. I feel like we've never been in a better era for watching television in terms of what is available and how it's available. The fact that I could watch any of these sporting events whenever I want to watch it, wherever I want to watch it, however I want to watch it, to me, it is more important than having a last channel feature that will get me from one app to the other. Now, maybe somebody invents that someday. I'm not sure.
It'll still take too long. You got to
it takes 20 seconds.
Close the app, open the app, find the game on the new app. It's a whole, I don't know. Maybe my TV's just
what does that take you? 30 seconds?
30 seconds. You can miss a lot of action in 30 seconds, Darren. You go.
Well, you can.
Go to the other one. It's in commercial, and now you waste.
Well, John, why do you need to be watching multiple things anyway? Why? Well, maybe this is a problem.
For this and only
maybe this is part of the problem. Our attention spans, are just completely kaput because we can't live without our last channel button in life. Maybe we should just sort of be present and watch one thing at a time.
We should. I will aspire to those goals.
Do you complain when you have to go to different apps to get your podcasts?
Why would
Is that the message that we're trying to send to people here?
The message is you can be in whatever podcast app you want. They're all in there. We made sure of it. You can get Section 1904 on any of them. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, come on. We can't be complaining about this stuff forever.
That's fair. That's fair. Hey, wait, I have a question because you tend to know stuff like this just because you know people. So the Padres played in Houston last night. They play in Detroit this evening. I believe you said Randy Vasquez is the pitcher.
Correct.
Padres one of these organizations where they shipped Vasquez out like yesterday morning.
It's a good question.
Like, did he welcome all of his teammates in last night and he had everything ready?
That's a good question. And it's interesting, isn't it? Now we talked a little bit about. Oh God, who was it in Sacramento that came walking across the field in the middle of the game?
Oscar Gonzalez, right?
And then Tirso Ornelas had to do the same.
Yeah,
just got there. He's like, "Hey, I'm here."
Slept on the airport floor that night.
Yeah, very. I mean, you can go years without seeing something like that. We've now seen it twice in a couple of weeks. Yeah. So I don't know. That's a good question. I will make. I mean, if people are curious about this, I'll try to find out and see if I have an answer for everybody tomorrow.
It's just so some organizations do that and some don't, and some of them do it for their aces and some of them do it for all the pitchers. I'm wondering if Randy Vasquez was at the game last night. I probably could just go find the game and dig through some footage, but I'm curious. I don't know why.
By the way, with my new Union Tribune subscription, this headline caught my eye. Aztec Fast Showcase puts a smile on faces of players, coaches, but leaves some fans grumbling. Did this story? Well, you haven't paid for your subscription.
No, but I did see the story that like season tickets are way down.
33. Yeah, they're down 33%. So, they had like a spring game, and I guess it's supposed to be a spring scrimmage is what the expectation was.
Oh, but it was just practice.
By the way, I drove past Snapdragon Stadium because we didn't travel for this game. Every once in a while with SDFC, we don't travel. So this was one of those where we didn't make the cut. So we were doing it from the 760 studios, and I drove past Snapdragon Stadium. And when I got to iHeart, somebody said something about the Aztec Showcase at Snapdragon. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. The building looked completely closed.
Oh, Jesus.
So, and forget about the attendance. The Union Tribune. Let me just. Should I do this or should I just?
No, we'll do it real quick. It's at the end. We've gone for like 70 minutes. People deserve candy.
All right. It says here an estimated 1,000 people gathered at Snapdragon on a pleasant afternoon. Now, if they're saying an estimated 1,000, that means that was in the hundreds.
Oh.
But where's the line that really? So people showed up there, right? And you know what the expectation is for this, right? It's April 19th or whatever it is, and it's you think of it like a spring game.
Say, is it a
right?
spring game?
Well, that's what people thought apparently, John. And this is why the fans are grumbling. So I'm glad you asked. And the reporter who was covering this event, his name is Kirk Kenny. He covers San Diego State for the Union Tribune.
Yes, he does.
And, he's describing some of the stuff that happened here. Because, again, this is now a headline that has caught my eye. I'm like, oh, fans are grumbling. That sounds like something I might want to read.
Kind of an amazing thing for Kirk Kenny to be writing. Guy who, like, everything he writes is like, San Diego State is awesome.
Yeah. So let me see. What did they do? Instead of a scrimmage, rather than a scrimmage to wrap up spring practice, as has been common for decades, writes Kenny, the Aztecs played games like dodgeball and tic-tac-toe and had relay races, throwing accuracy, and punt catching competitions. I'm like, wait a minute, what are we doing here? So Kirk Kenny does something that a lot of us do, which is you go and you find somebody belly aching about it, whatever it is on social media, right? So he goes and he finds a tweet from somebody and he posts a tweet in the story. And then what does he do? Kirk Kenny does what a lot of us do. I'm not knocking it. We go right up to the coach and we say, hey, coach, how do you respond? How do you respond to somebody who's here who's complaining that your players are playing tic-tac-toe instead of playing football? And this is an amazing line from Sean Lewis, who's the head coach, okay? We used to allow people to smoke on planes as well. And then time evolved and we did things differently for the health and safety of everybody. It's my responsibility to care for the health and safety of our team.
Oh my God.
As this has become a year-round endeavor, we've got multiple touch points with the guys to go through our installations and iterations of teaching and learning and winter conditioning. Just because we've always done something, I don't think that's a good reason to continue to do it.
Oh my God.
You need to innovate. You need to continue to evolve. That's the head coach, Sean Lewis, who I believe is 38, who, at least according to me, John, would probably have absolutely no recollection whatsoever of people smoking on an airplane. I'm old enough to have remembered that because I lived through that. And I was like in my parents' laps while they were smoking on an airplane. So I don't know where Sean Lewis came up with this analogy, but what an amazing line from the head coach. Hey, people showed up to watch a spring game. Why aren't you actually playing game? Why aren't you playing dodgeball? Hey, they used to smoke on airplanes, I mean, that's just
incredible.
Like an amazing thing for the head coach to say. What is he saying there?
I don't know.
What is he saying? Is he saying like you'll get your tic-tac-toe and your dodgeball and you'll like it? Or is he saying like we just shouldn't even have a spring game, so let's not even fucking bother with this anymore? Why are we even here? Why is anybody here? Nobody was there anyway. So why do they even bother with this thing?
Yeah, if a few thousand people showed up, maybe we'd risk injury, but because
barely anybody showed up to this, and the people who did were unhappy. I mean, what a line that is from Sean Lewis. People used to smoke on airplanes too. Oh, thanks. I don't know. We kind of were sold that this was a showcase event. What silly me expecting a spring football game to show up.
Until future notice, I'm gonna try and remember to tag all San Diego State football conversations with not a lot of people showed up, and the ones that did were unhappy.
That is amazing, man. That is something else. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people used to smoke on airplanes, Yeah, well, I guess you have a point there, Coach. I'm not so sure. I'm just not so sure about this guy.
I'm pretty sure Sean Lewis has watched Mad Men, because I remember getting on airplanes as like a 5-6-year-old and there being ashtrays, but it was always like no, don't touch those. We don't do that anymore. Like it took a while for the ashtrays to disappear. I don't know if they
like soldered them shut.
Yeah, I don't actually remember if I've ever been on a plane where people were smoking. Probably when I was really young. But
we used to drive cars with no seatbelts, John. Didn't even need a car seat.
Yeah, and we used to send men to the moon too. Like it's can't have it both ways, buddy.
Did they advertise this? It's like, hey, come watch our players play tic-tac-toe and dodgeball.
I don't know. Like, are they gonna have the guys just breaking down film next year? Like, if you were a player, wouldn't you assume that all practices going forward you should give like 50% effort, and if you get called out, you go, hey man, look, I'm just trying to not get injured, right? We got to be safe here. Our safety is your number one priority, not winning the football game. Like if Jim Harbaugh saw that quote, he would explode in rage, go immediately call all of his players in and run Oklahoma drills. Like it's just funny. It's funny.
They also use a term that the Padres use too about unfinished business. I'm like, wait a minute, you guys won 3 times last year. You didn't even start it. If the Padres, and I don't even know that the Padres should be talking about unfinished business just because you had the Dodgers on the ropes and you couldn't knock them out. I don't know. They finished it. That's over.
Yeah.
But if you want to motivate yourself saying it's unfinished business when you had the World Series champs on the ropes and you just couldn't deliver the knockout punch, I suppose.
Yeah.
Maybe not the terminology I would use, but maybe. But I mean, unfinished business. I mean, guy, you won like 3 times last year. I don't know. What are you talking about? And like your big quarterback recruit couldn't wait to get out of here. So I don't know.
Brutal.
I'm not so sure about this.
Me neither.
I don't know if this is going to work here, but we'll see. All right. Well, very happy to support the Union Tribune. Thank you, Kirk Kenny, for that bit of content. We'll see you Tuesday.